Well, welcome to Folks and Facts podcast. And today we're here with Ben, the illusionist, and Abigail. She's responsible for the choreography of the show. And thank you for coming, you both.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Well, Ben, I met you in one of your shows that I went there to video it, and I was very impressed. And I know it was your first show of varieties that you put together. But I would like, before we get to the shows, I would like to know you better. And so, how did you get into magic?
Well, I got started in magic at a very young age. I was 4 years old. I remember that my mom and my dad came home from being out, and they brought home a DVD of a magician that most people may know, and it's David Copperfield. On that DVD, he sawed himself in half, made the Statue of Liberty disappear, and then taught some really easy and simple tricks that you can do with objects around the house. And I remember feeling a feeling of wonderment and amazement when I was watching that DVD, and I was like, I want to give that feeling to other people. And so that's when I decided I wanted to be a magician. Later on, either that Christmas or the Christmas after, my parents got me a magic set. It was a Mickey's magic set, and I started learning magic tricks. And then my dad would put together a DVD with different easy-to-do tricks of things you can find around the house. And that's how I got my start.
Oh, that was a better start than one of my cousins because what happened is they were little, and he put his little brother inside the box, and he was using a real knife and stabbing the box and said, "Did I hit you, Andrew?" "No." And then he would stab another place. That was crazy. What about you, Abigail? How did you start on choreography?
Dancing, like every other little girl, I started dance at a very young age. I think I was 3 or 4. And I did dance for several years and then got my start in theater. And it became one of those, I was doing too much at once, so I'd quit dance for several years and I was just focusing on theater and dancing through there. But I finally came back and have been dancing for several years now. And how I got started in choreographing, that's the word. I would never expect to be where I am at today. It was one of those, he had asked me to do the show and asked me if I would just do like a dance or two here or there, and that turned into bringing in a couple other girls, and that just kind of brought up doing choreography for the show. So.
Okay, now the question is, how did you meet? How those two gifts were put together?
Well, I'll go first, start on this. Through my years of performing, I've gotten to perform at different areas with Walt Disney World, Three Ring Circus, and also in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And that brings us to the point where we had met. I was out at work. They came to the island in Pigeon Forge. It was a group of them from Lamplight Theater came that way, just a few of them. And that's where we had met, and then we started talking about theater and shows, and they had invited me to come over to the theater and audition for their next show, which was their Easter production, and I had agreed to go, and it was about 2-hour drive back and forth, but I was very determined to use my talents for the Lord in that production, and that's how I met them, and then Abby can tell you what went through her mind when we met.
Well, like Ben said, we first met. He was out working at the island in Pigeon Forge, and he was working at Skyfly, and the whole theme was very steampunky, and we were working on a steampunk show, so we were just talking about like how we enjoyed all like the different things and aspects that they had. And he came and did a show, and actually I didn't even really remember Ben until the very end of the show. It kind of hit me. I was like, oh, like you're that guy that we met. And then a few months passed by, and we had done several shows together, and he had messaged me and just asked me if I would be his assistant for a show. He's like, I'll pay you $100, let me saw you in half. And that's built up to where we're at now.
That sounds like a brave woman. I saw you in half. What would you do if it didn't work out so well? What would you do with the $100?
Ooh, I don't know. I trust Ben for the most part.
Well, Ben, like I said, I watched your last show, and I'm really really glad I did because I loved it. You had a little testimony that pretty much made me cry over there. And I would like for you to talk about, how was your first experience running a variety show? Uh, but before that, you made some shows, just magics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Tell me a little bit about that, and then we go for the variety one.
Well, with magic shows, like I said, I got started when I was about 4 years old. My first thing that I did is I took my dad's nightstand out to the edge of our driveway back in Florida and would perform different small tricks from that Mickey's Magic set that I got. I had a piece of cloth that my mom made, had some stars on it, and I had a wand that my dad made for me. And I'd put together a little magic act. I had a little Tupperware container out for tips. Even though I received 0 tips, a lot of people enjoyed my magic. I enjoyed performing it. And then the more I performed, the more desire I had for performing. Fast forward a few years, it was in 2007, me and my older brother put together a magic show for my nephew's birthday party. Once again, it was in Florida. I remember this day very vividly. My brother-in-law had some curtains in front of some doors that led out to his backyard, and he put me and my brother behind the curtain, and he was introducing us. He was like, it was big and dramatic and crazy, and he was like, ladies and gentlemen, the two that helped us make the Statue of Liberty disappear. And I popped my head out from the curtain. I said, no, we didn't. And I remember he popped my head back and he was like, no. I'm just trying to build the crowd for you. A good magician always lies. And I was like, okay. So he introduced us. We stepped out, and our family and friends were laughing and clapping. And that moment of feeling that joy to make other people happy just really took and planted a good seed in me. And then a few years went by, and then my first big production was in 2012. It was at the Kroc Center in Augusta, Georgia. It was on a very beautiful stage. Me and my younger sister and my younger brother put together a production for their day camp, and we later on did about 3 or 4 shows there at the Kroc Center.
That's cool, but that was mean that nobody tipped you the first time. What about you, Abigail? Have you made some shows or in presentations by yourself, just choreography?
I've done several solos and helped, once again, choreographing these numbers, but I've never created like a show on my own. I just dances, but I got my start very, very young in theater and being on the stage, so it just kind of became a very big comfort to me and just like a second home.
Cool. Okay, so let's get back to the first variety show. Now I'm going to let you talk about what people missed.
Yes, so in November of last year, we put together a 2-hour production, which was a variety show with music and dancing and grand stage illusions and even juggling. And so I had an idea for a show, and I was like, let's do a variety show. And I handpicked a few people that I just knew would sing certain of my favorite songs, Christmas songs and different things like that. And that's when I reached out to Abby, and I was like, you know what, I need some dancers. So I was like, hey, would you mind? First of all, I need someone to saw in half, and that's very important. As a magician, you got to saw someone in half. So I pulled her, and she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then as we went on, we started adding different dancers as well, and different singers, and we had the national anthem. We had a lot of different Christmas songs. One of my favorites was Tender Tennessee Christmas, which was sung by a young lady, and it was a humongous turnout. We had every show was sold out. We had the mayor of Elizabethton came out, and they all enjoyed the show. We heard nothing but amazing reviews, and then they had invited us back for March of this year. So.
Okay, so what can we expect? I'm not getting in the new one yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a couple things from your first show that I watched. First of all, the magics were amazing. I always loved magic, and I always try to see if I can find out how in the world they can do those things. and you really did well. I have no clue.
Thank you.
But
You.
maybe, being friends and stuff, we can maybe you can tell me.
Well, all right. First of all, can you keep a secret?
For the most part, yes.
All right. Well, so can we. We can keep pretty good secrets. So that's my answer to that.
Okay. Well, second is I was very impressed with your brother too, because that boy's fun. I mean,
Yes.
where's he at now? Why he didn't come to talk to us today?
Well, today he's actually off working. He works for Chick-fil-A, and he's there working right now. But he will be back in March, so that will give you something to look forward to.
So what's Mark show's name? How is it called?
So the theme of the show is movies, magic, and mayhem, and this is going to take our audience on a whirlwind adventure of different styles of movies back from, even before I was even thought of. We have some old but really good movies, and then we have some modern movies as well, and so they'll get to see different style of illusions that fit those different movie themes, and as well as dances and songs from different movies.
Okay, so you want to tell us how people can go ahead and buy tickets? Can I go ahead and buy it?
Absolutely. You can grab your tickets at bonniecate.org, bonniecate.theater.org, and you can grab your tickets on there or through eventbrite.com as well, and just search for the event. You can also go on Facebook at Keep Believing Productions, and we have a link up there as well.
And Abigail, what can I expect from the new choreographies in this new show?
I'm very excited for this show just because we have the broad spectrum of movies. You've got movies from the 50s to movies from that just came out in recent years. And so we have some Marilyn Monroe in there, which I'm really excited and getting to go back and do some old jazz. And then you get tap, you get ballet, you get contemporary. There's so much you can do with movies, and I'm very, very excited.
Now, there are some great illusions that we did in the old show that we'll be bringing back in this show, but instead of doing the same theming and designing, we've actually redesigned some of the illusions, rethemed them, and so you may have come and saw one that was, very Christmas designed, but it's now been designed to a different theme with a movie. And we're going to be adding some new ones. So one of my favorite new ones that we're going to be adding is a Phantom of the Opera themed illusion, and you'll have to come out and see that one. And then we're adding a Jessie from Toy Story themed illusion, and then we're also adding a Willy Wonka themed illusion, and many more. We have many more new illusions.
All right, so I want to thank you both for coming and talking to us today. And I hope you come back after this new show and we can talk a little bit more and hopefully announce the next one. Because I guess it's going to be a non-stop, right?
Absolutely. So for the Bonniecate Theater itself, right now we would like to go back. I think we are in the planning for a November show there as well, just like we did last year, and potentially maybe even another March show for next year. Other than that, we're looking at maybe doing a summer tour of illusions, and we'll post all that stuff up as well if we decide to do that.
It sounds great. For the next time we talk, we're going to talk a little bit of another work that I know that you do. I guess you become green at some point, but I'm not going to let people know what I'm talking about yet. But yeah, you might see Ben somewhere, and he's going to be green, but I ain't talking much about that right now. You are going to have to hold for your next meeting.